Northern Paiute language. Numu Taruan. Lesson 7. Basic pronouns and other races. Basic pronouns and keeping of cultural context within the language, which is very important. Many times, because if English is our first language, we rate everything off of English, and that can really mess up our language in many ways. So we do our best to keep the cultural context of the language as we're learning it. And so just bear with us as we all attempt to do this. Remembering that a pronoun is like people words such as I, me, you, they, he, him, her, she, this, that, it, etc. But it's also, discriminately speaking, can be like a white, a black, a brown, an Asian, or an Indian. So let's go over some definitions again, just to review. Number 1, the word Numu. Numu. Numu means Paiute people or Paiute person. That's generally what it means, even though there's about 8 different definitions. Number 2, ne. Ne means I as the main subject of a sentence. It's never used as me or my. Ne means I. Number 3, e. E. E means my, sometimes me, but e means my. Number 4, means you, also used as your. Number 5, ishu. Ishu means this one. It can be this one thing, but it's used also as a pronoun, a demonstrative pronoun. It's not specifically a pronoun, but it's used to demonstrate one. So this one person. Number 6, wawa. Wawa. Wawa means a stranger or a foreigner. Table. Table. Table or table means a white or Euro-American. Number 8, tsipane. Tsipane means Mexican or Spanish. Number 9, tunagas. Tunagas. Tunagas means black or Afro-American, not black as in color, but as in a race of people. Number 10, Saniman. Saniman means Oriental or Asian, sometimes also called Sangij. Sangij. 11, Tobon. Tobon. Tobono means Shoshone. Number 12, Waavich. Waavich means a Yokat. 13, Wawa. Wawa means a Miwok or a Digger Indian. Now the word Wawa also means stranger, same word used for a Miwok or a digger. Number 14, Washio. Washio means a Washoe Indian. And some people who live like in the vicinity of Reno or say Carson City, the name is also for Washoe, they call Nimigwoho. Nimigwoho. 15, Dakone. Dakone means Maidu. 16, Pitanagwat. Pitanagwat means Southern Paiutes. 17, Panagwat. Panagwat means Western Paiutes. 18, Sibinima. Sibinima means Eastern Paiutes, all depending on the direction where you are. So culturally speaking, a Paiute person never verbally identified themselves as a Paiute. Okay, so like nowadays, people say, oh, what tribe are you? Oh, I'm Paiute. Or, oh, what nation are you? Oh, I'm Paiute. But back in the old days, cultural speaking now, a Paiute person or a Numu never verbally identified themselves as a Paiute or as a Numu. So like nowadays, because of the English language that we're turning into, or we're kind of mixing our language up a little bit, some people say Ninumu or Nimunu. meaning I am Paiute. Or they'll say Numu or Numu, which means you are Paiute. This is incorrect. This is incorrect. So this is not culturally accurate. It is what we would call modernly anglicized Paiute, because cultural context, they would never use these terms in the olden days. A person was most specifically known by the language they spoke. Once a person was identified or was made known as being of the Numu, they were categorized by what vicinity within Numu, which they originated. Okay, so Numu is simply something that you absolutely are without the need to express yourself as such. In very much the same way, by you just being alive and breathing, that makes you a human being. You don't have to state it. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. So traditionally speaking, within the nation, they would just ask, Hanote Numu, Hanote Numu, meaning of which people are you of? Which within the nation? What place within the nation are you of? And many times people would answer something like, I am a fly larva place, like or I am of the sunflower place, I am of the acorn place, or I am of the salt place, So every location within and around Numu had a specific title so as to identify each Numu person within their homeland. And so remember, Numu means Paiute homeland or Paiute country. So there was very specific ways to identify people within the language. So the term Yahune, it means here I am, but there's more implied into that, like here I am existing, Yahune. And this is a way someone may introduce themselves. Here I am. Nipogairika means I am of the ones which eat sunflowers. Or one may say Nipogawede, which means I am of the place of the sunflowers. So this is the way Numu of old would introduce themselves. Or maybe Mahue, there you are existing is kind of what's implied. And so we see this in the Pitanaguat language, but it's a little different. They say manahu or manahu, they say nowadays, manahu, but it means pretty much the same thing. There you are, mahu. It's a recognition of somebody. Onarika means you are of the ones which eat salt. Or onawede, which means you are of the salt place. So this is the way people identified themselves and others. Okay, ishunimu, ... This Indian or this person. Okay, so we're talking about introducing somebody in the third person. Ishuwiadikari means this is of the ones which eat acorn. This is a Yosemite-ish person. Ishuwiadikari. Or Ishuwiawete. This one is of the place of the oaks or the place of the acorn, because wia means acorn. Or Ishuwawa, This stranger, ... Okay, Ishuwawa Numu. This stranger is Indian. That is incorrect. That is incorrect. So thinking about this statement, Ishuwawa Numu, Numu cannot be used in this context. Ishuwawa Numu, incorrect. If you are a Wawa, then you cannot be Numu. We do not use the word Numu in Numu the same way we would use it in English. We must keep things in cultural context. And so this, in the modern thinking, this may seem like a very racist way of viewing the world, but in that day, this is just how people viewed things. If you were Numu, you were of the people, you were of the human beings, and everything else outside of that was Wawa, was stranger, was different. And the way we classified ourselves within Numu is very, it's not racist, but it's very interwoven, and it's very, very family. It's very, all belong to each other. And so when people knew you, they recognized you, they recognized your language, they recognized where you're from. There was that affiliation right away. And so this is why, trying to explain the best way of why no one ever had to say Numu, because they knew who you were by the way you lived, by your culture, and by your language. So getting back to the true definition of Numu of the old days, this definition has changed nowadays, but taking the definition back to cultural context. It means I, you, and all of those that are alike, akin, and unified together with us by the same history, the same blood, same language, same cultural customs, and of the same spiritual belief system. This is what unified all the people back in the day. And yes, things have changed, but it's good to remember the base definitions of where our words come from. So let's go over some examples using the term Numu Yaru'a, which means to speak in the language of the people. Number one, Ubishan Numu Yaru'a. Ubishan Numu Yaru'a means you speak Paiute well. Two, Suwawa Bijan Numu Yaruade. Suwawa Bijan Numu Yaruade. The foreigner speaks Paiute well. Okay, it doesn't make them Numu, but see, sometimes many people were bi or trilingual back in the days, and maybe even 4 different languages. So Wawas could speak Numu from time to time. Number 3, Sureba o Bijan Numu Yaruade. Sureba o Bijan Numu Yaruade means the Anglo speaks Paiute well. Number 4, Kaine Bijan Numu Yaru'a. Kaine Bijan Numu Yaru'a. I do not speak Paiute very well. Notice in the first and second person context, it's just Yaru'a. But in the third person context, we got Yaruade. Ishu Bijan Numu Yaruade. Ishu Bijan Numu Yaruade. Mean this one or this person speaks Paiute well. Third person, Yaruade. First person, Yaru'a. Number 6, Ubijazu Numu Yarua Minna. Ubijazu Numu Yarua Minna. Ubijazu Numu Yarua Minna means you are progressively speaking better. So with the more ways we can use this Numu in a cultural context way, the more we'll understand its meaning. Oit Yupanama Bijan Bija Yarua Minna. Oit Yupanama Bija Yarua Minna means you are all progressively speaking well. Oit Yupana means all. Me, you in the plural. Bija Yarua Minna, progressively speaking well. That's the end of lesson 7.